I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Bowling Green Board of Commissioners for July 19th, 2016. Invite you to stand if you choose while Commissioner Williams leads us in the invocation and then introduces someone to us.
Bow with me, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for its many blessings. We thank you for the opportunity that you've given us to gather here in this group to consider business for the city. We'd ask that you bless our efforts and give us wisdom to mull each and every one of them in a way that will be pleasing unto thee. All this we ask in the name of Jesus. Amen. I would like to introduce at this time Mr. Alec Duncan, who is a Boy Scout with Boy Scout Troop number 710, and he's going to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. Alec? To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Alec.
Thank you so much. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Williams?
Here.
Commissioner Denning?
Here.
Commissioner Hill is absent. Commissioner Perigin?
Here.
Mayor Wilkerson?
Any awards or recognitions tonight?
Not that I'm aware of.
All right. Reason for it, please.
Yes, there will be a need for a closed session pursuant to KRS 618101C for discussions of proposed or pending litigation against or on behalf of the city.
So moved. Second.
By Denning and second by Perigin, is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Williams?
Yes.
Denning?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Wilkerson?
Is any other comments for us?
Not that I know of.
First item is to approve the minutes for our regular meeting on July 5th, 2016.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Perigin, second by Williams. Is there any discussion or correction? Please call the roll.
Williams?
Yes.
Denning?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Wilkerson?
Yes. At this time, we make a provision for the public to comment on items that may not be on tonight's agenda. We invite them forward. The first one I'd like to invite is Keenan Mukanovich, who is a recent Jefferson Award winner, who I had the privilege of meeting, and he has a project and would like to bring that to our attention.
Good afternoon. How are you all doing?
Great.
Great. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Appreciate it. My name is Keenan Mojkanovic, and I'm the founder of and CEO of Young Visionaries Foundation that I founded my sophomore year in high school. And it's what the foundation does is serves to assist families in need in our community and instill the importance of achieving education in our youth. Well, recently I've started a project, and it's a book. I'm writing a book basically right now, and it's going to be a memoir and a journal of different youth in our city and the struggles they all have in different social classes and what all they go through and the dreams they have right now that they're fighting to pursue and make realities. Well, I'm calling upon you all, the city officials, to see if you guys can assist me. I have attached some questions. I don't know if Mr. Mayor Bruce Wilkerson has handed them out. Those questions are for you all to answer and be as open as you can be. And I plan to put you all in the book as to serve as an inspiration for our youth. And this book is an inspirational book. It's to encourage kids throughout the world, and not only in our city, to become leaders and pursue their passion and their dreams and make them realities. So I'm calling upon you all to help me out with this book by just answering the few questions I have listed in the back of the packets. And I would need them by July 30th because I plan on publishing the book in the second week of August.
Quick turnaround.
Yes, I have spent many sleepless nights just to get it published. And it's going to be approximately around 350 to 400 pages. So I'm just waiting on you all now. That's it.
Appreciate you bringing this to us, and we have an email address that we can return those questions to.
No problem. It's right on the front. My contact information. If you need anything else, just feel free to contact me.
All right, sir. Thank you very much, and congratulations again on the Jefferson Award. Yes, sir, I'm sorry.
When you say support, what are you expecting from the city?
I'm just expecting the city officials just to answer those questions, and you all will have your own personal segment in the book, and it'll just serve to inspire future generations to come, and it's all based around whichever you guys answer, how open you plan to be, and just give words of wisdom, because you all are the voice of Bowling Green, and you all have served our city and provided us with many opportunities and helped countless people, and I would like to know what you all had to say and what kind of words of wisdom would you provide to our youth in our city, and not only in our city, but the whole world in general.
And then can I ask a favor?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a way that you could send this to maybe Katie electronically to send to us that we could just fill in and send back to you and make it a little bit?
Yeah,
Just
I
a
don't,
question.
I wouldn't want you guys to handwrite it, it would be too much of a hassle. If you could just type it up, it would be great.
Yeah.
And I could send the electronic file if you like.
That would be great. That'd make it a little bit easier.
Okay.
And I'd like to commend you and your organization for some of the good things that you've done. I'm aware of several of those, and I commend you on your initiative.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Keenan, appreciate you coming.
Thank you so much. You all have a great day.
All right, is anything else?
How you doing? Okay. Okay. Here's what's going on. I've been studying and researching this, and it's really interesting. Do you know that Hardin County has more DWIs than this county? And that's unusual because this county, Hardin County, is a dry county. That's unusual. So, I would like to say something about like what you did 2 years ago, and you stood up, and it's really cool what you did. And I know you've had a lot of people to backslash and everything like that, but you did the right thing. And I want to say that. So, also, I want to say that the Small Business Development Office helped me with establishing my business by helping me find Facebook and help me what to do to get customers on Facebook. So they are really helping this community. So it would be kind of cool if you would consider helping them. And what they're doing is helping people fight for the American dream. So.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? All right, the first item for consideration is Municipal Order 2016-138.
Municipal order approving the probationary appointment of T. Eric Schroeder to the position of landscape gardener in the Parks and Recreation Department.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Denning, second by Perigin. Mr. Febo.
Thank you, Mayor. The incumbent in this position took an upgrade in the golf department, leaving a vacancy. We advertised, we had 31 applicants apply. We interviewed 6, and from that distillation, we're here tonight to recommend Eric Schroeder. Eric has seasonal experience and has a good work ethic. We recommend his approval.
I believe Mr. Schroeder is here with us tonight. Congratulations, Eric. I said hello to him a while ago. I asked him if he was enjoying his work. He said he loves it, just loves it. So,
That's a little warm for it.
yeah. Thank you so much. Any
I
other
believe
comments?
I've seen him at the Minute Mart on a couple of occasions.
You went to the Minute Mart?
Oh, about 10 to 12 times a day.
Okay. Thank you very much, Eric. All we need is a vote, so please call the roll.
Williams?
Yes.
Denning?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Wilkerson?
Yes. Congratulations. Thanks. All right, Municipal Order 2016-139.
Municipal order authorizing and accepting bid number 2016-52 for fiscal year 2016 sidewalk rehabilitation project from GIST Construction Incorporated of Columbia, Kentucky, in the amount of $79,418.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Denning, second by Williams. Mr. Febo.
In addition to our new sidewalk program, we also invest money in the current sidewalks known as the Sidewalk Rehabilitation Program. We're here tonight to ask you to award a bid to GIST Construction. There were 5 bidders. This company was the lowest. If approved, it will result in 1,900 linear feet of rehab sidewalk in 4 different locations. Greg Meredith is here if you have any questions.
Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2016-140.
Municipal order authorizing and accepting bid number 2016-53 for Cisco SmartNet annual renewal from CDW Government LLC of Vernon Hills, Illinois, in the amount of $49,252.91.
So moved.
By Williams, second by Perigin. Mr. DeFebo.
This is one of the softwares that the IT department needs to operate and provide service and security for our users. We went out to bid. We had 4 bidders. 2 of those, however, were non-responsive. Of the 2 that are responsive, it's our recommendation that we award the bid to CDW. Lynn Hartley is here if you have any question, as well as Marilyn Perigin about the 2 that were non-responsive.
Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2016-141.
Municipal order authorizing and accepting the purchase to upgrade the network backup software from Catalogic Software of Woodcliff Lake, New Jersey, in the amount of $29,107.50.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Perigin, second by Williams. Mr. DeFebo.
We're pretty redundant in our IT software. Tonight, we're here to buy backup software to backup software. So we use it's a sole source, so we're recommending we go with Catalogic Software. Lynn is here if you'd like a technical explanation of this network backup software.
Like a technical explanation from Lynn?
No.
Not even a high view. I know what that is.
Your memo is very explanatory. We appreciate it, sir.
Thank you.
Please call the roll.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2016-142.
Municipal order approving contracts through cooperative purchase with various vendors under the Kentucky pricing contract for chemicals and fertilizers for the Parks and Recreation Department in an amount not to exceed $108,100.
Move.
Second.
Motion by Denning and second by Perigin. Mr. DeFebo.
Thank you, Mayor. The 3 beautiful golf courses that we have, as well as the city parks we have, wouldn't be so beautiful without the work of our employees, as well as the various chemicals and fertilizers that we use to make them look so beautiful. We're here to ask you to allow us to use a state purchasing contract to buy the necessary chemicals and fertilizers, most of which will be used for the golf courses. Brent Belcher is here if you have any questions.
This is a not exceed bid. We may
Not to exceed
spend
of
all that.
108.
Questions? Please call the roll.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2016-143.
Municipal order authorizing a contract through non-competitive negotiations with Taser International Incorporated of Scottsdale, Arizona, for the trade-in and purchase of tasers for the police department in the net amount of $31,958.76.
So move.
Second.
Denning and second by Williams. Mr. DeFebo.
As all of us know, the taser has become an important tool for our police officers to use in the proper circumstances. It's important to renew those pieces of equipment, and we do that, replace them about every 3 years. We're here to ask you to allow us to replace 35 old taser that have 3 years of age, and to purchase through non-competitive negotiation with our Taser International out of Arizona. I believe Doug is here if you have any questions about tasers. He could probably give you 25 minutes or so.
I beg your pardon?
Any comments or questions? We've gone this round before many times on our replacements. I don't know if we need any further discussion.
Let me ask one question.
Yes, sir.
Doug, just one quick question. We are trading in old tasers?
This is the first time that they have offered this opportunity. They're giving us a little bit of a trade-in value. Frankly, it's not much, but there's a little bit of a trade-in value for the older tasers. They don't even produce the kind of taser that we're trading in any longer. And so they're going to give us a small trade-in value for each of those tasers. We're going to apply that to the overall purchase as a credit, and then we have a net amount that we're going to have to pay them in the balance.
Okay, so we're getting newer tasers?
That's correct.
Good.
Please call the roll.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. First reading of ordinance BG 2016-22.
Ordinance rezoning real estate, ordinance rezoning tracts of land containing 61.68 plus or minus acres from RM3 and RM4 multifamily residential to RS1A single-family residential located at Cross Ridge subdivision with various owners.
So moved.
Second.
By Perigin, second by Williams. This is the continuation of a program that Planning and Zoning had started to downzone certain neighborhoods in order to avoid the multifamily in between the single-family project, voted on unanimously by the Planning and Zoning Commission. If anybody has any other comments or questions, please call the roll.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. First reading of ordinance BG 2016-23.
Ordinance rezoning real estate, ordinance rezoning tracts of land containing 6.05 acres from GB General Business and LI Light Industrial to HI Heavy Industrial located at 140 Waffle Court, presently owned by J. David and Donna Fields.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Denning and second by Perigin. Again, Planning and Zoning has given us considerable material to read that explains what happened. It was voted unanimously by Planning Commission. Anybody have any questions? Mr. Peterson is here. I forgot to identify him, Planning Director. Any questions or comments? Please call the roll.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. First reading of ordinance BG 2016-24.
Ordinance amending Code of Ordinances. Ordinance repealing the existing Chapter 21 Streets and Sidewalks of the City of Bowling Green Code of Ordinances and approving a revised version titled Public Infrastructure, Rights-of-Way, and Stormwater, and further amending Chapter 27 Property Code to make related administrative revisions.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Perigin, second by Williams. Mr. DeFebo.
Thank you, Mayor. Ever so often, it's right order for us to look at our various ordinances and to update those as new laws or changes occur. We're here tonight to present for you Chapter 21, which deals with streets and sidewalks, and to share with you changes that we have talked about and have vetted with the various developers in the community, and are asking you to take the first reading of this. It might be helpful if Melissa Kanzler from our Public Works Department and City Engineer could take you around the field and give you some of the significant changes. Melissa?
Thank you, Mr. DeFebo. I'm here to answer any questions you might have. The memos that we actually prepared two memos, once back in March, and then we decided we needed to take this to, we took it both to a significant number of frequent developers here in town that we deal with most often, and then we also visited Home Builders Association meeting and presented to them the changes. I can go over in summary what's in those memos if you would like, kind of the highlights of the changes, if you would like for me to do that. Of course, Chapter 21 is primarily the nuts and bolts of what we changed. In my mind, it helps us enforce some of the things that we require when we review plans and whatnot. But one of the things that we did remove, there was a lot of, the civil and criminal violations were more clearly connected. There were some things that we could not enforce because the only thing we could do was call the police, and that wasn't practical. So we have some more civil outlines of violations for, you know, development or street cuts, things of that nature, that if they don't abide by our standards, we can write a citation rather than call the police. We basically removed some technical language in subchapter 21-2, which is the stormwater quality. A lot of that got lengthy. a lot of technical information that really belongs in a design manual more so than in an ordinance. So it didn't change, it just moved. And Matt Powell was responsible for that. So at any time that we need to bring that stormwater manual to you guys to kind of review changes on a periodic basis, you know, feel free to let us know and we'll be glad to do that. Also in the stormwater chapter, or, section, we revised the review, the permit review fees. Those had not been touched since the creation of the stormwater program in '03. The only change really that affects is the really, really large sites. The small sites are still the $35 flat fee. As you increase above 1 acre to say 2 and 3 and 4 acres, which we don't have very many of those, that's based on a per square foot cost. So for instance, a 2-acre site, rather than being $75, is now $87. So it's not a drastic change, it's practical. It relates back to the time spent with our staff and the time that they review these things, and they have to go back and forth because of the detail in the review. Again, in subchapter 21-3, that was the biggest overall change. A lot of that language was just outdated. We didn't enforce it. It didn't really make sense anymore. We put language in there that basically says, you know, we review permits, we review development plans that say you must build per this standard. What happens if they don't? We didn't really have language that held anybody to a standard. We couldn't write a citation, we couldn't stop work, we couldn't do anything. So 21-3 really hits, you must design per the standard, you must get approval, you must get permits. And if you don't, there are citations that relate back to that. Finally, also in that subchapter 21-3, we do require as-built drawings now for the larger stormwater impacts. So if there's retention or detention on a site, of course, we already require that for subdivisions, but say a new Walmart comes in. If they put in a retention or detention basin, we require as-built to make sure that they built that per what was approved. And anytime they connect to public stormwater infrastructure, we want to make sure they're tying in as was approved on the plan. So we're requiring as-built, which define the type of pipe, the size of pipe, the location, and of course, elevations. Just kind of final check to make sure what we said they would build gets built in the field. A few final changes. We clarified some maintenance responsibilities in drainage easements. Sometimes it was unclear what the property owner did, what Public Works did. So that's defined more clearly. It was kind of our standard operating procedure, but it just wasn't written. So we couldn't say, it's your responsibility, Target, to take care of this basin, or homeowner, you know, A or B. As far as the street cuts, section 21-4, we hit that pretty hard previously in a previous update. There were a few modified. They increased the permit fees from $25 to $50. Couldn't tell you the last time that we changed those permit fees. The utility companies are good. There's very few private contractors we deal with. That's a very insignificant amount, you know, related to the project cost. There's some changes to timeframes. Basically, the notice that contractors give us, we've required a tighter timeframe, because we would get, you know, several days' notice, but then the weather might affect it and they wouldn't get back to us. So we have, I think it's a 48-hour notice, which is more realistic and more, we can expect that to actually occur. Some other bond release timeframes after we've approved their street cut and the work. We release that bond after 90 days, I believe it is, and we schedule inspections. Also, we put a provision in there for what we call larger scale projects. And the best way to describe that is a utility project that's going to go some distance, like the one that was out here on College Street. We didn't really have a provision to give them leeway as far as, we know they can't go in and cut that street and permanently repair it in 10 days because they have to finish the line and then go back in and test it and make connections. So we put some requirements in there that they give us a project time frame. They work with us just like any other project. We also have learned that, you know, temporary repairs, we know they have to cover those cuts until they're done. The gravel was not getting the job done, and heavy rains, it was washing out. So we do require a cold patch in those instances, which is kind of temporary, but yet they can still get back in there easily and make their connections where they need to. Finally, in chapter 27, we hit, and Gene and Mike can talk more to this, there was a paragraph in there about snow and ice removal. It basically stated that the homeowner is responsible for taking care of the snow and ice removal on their sidewalks and right-of-way. I don't think we've ever enforced that. That wasn't really our intention. You know, it's great if they do it. So we revised that to state that it's not necessarily their responsibility, but they should also not contribute to placing more snow and ice. So if they're clearing their driveway or clearing their parking lot, they shouldn't displace more snow into our rights-of-way. So we just kind of clarified that language, as you can see in the document. And then finally, the last part of subchapter 27-8 just outlines the penalties as related to some of the changes that we made. A few were revised to better reflect the offense, and then we added some more line items to account for what we added in chapter 21. So back to, again, we did meet with the homeowners association. There was very few comments of things they did comment on, we addressed. We got no response from the developers. I did talk to a couple, and they did receive the information, the draft ordinance, and nobody really had any comments to what we were proposing, so. Yes, Jim.
Melissa, one of my favorite subjects is utility street cuts, as you know. And I know you mentioned time frames, but when a utility company has to cut one of our streets, do they have a specific time that they are to finish that particular cut?
Yes, if it's just a isolated cut, say they had to make a repair on a line in one spot, it's not a large-scale line replacement like we're seeing a lot around downtown. They do have, let me make sure I tell you right, this is Mike Mitchum's area, 10 days for that permanent repair, I believe it is. 10 calendar days from the start of work to the final repair. And the way we track this and the way that we can follow up with these multiple permits, we have a database. When they apply for a permit, we enter it, and we schedule out that 10-day inspection. So on Monday, you know, Mike can run a report and say, okay, this week we have 10 inspections where people should have their work done. And, you know, if they do, then we have other things that we have to, you know, check for, make sure it's compliant to our standard for repair. And then we also have a warranty inspection to make sure it's holding, and a bond release inspection where we actually release that money that we've been holding in case they don't repair it per standard. So we schedule those out from the time they submit and follow up. I think Mike did over 100 inspections in the month of June on our streets. So it's working. The utility companies are understanding better what's expected of them, and we are not hesitant to ask them to remove and repair it if it's not as it should be.
So at the end of the 10 days, we have an individual that is going out to that particular cut to inspect it and determine if the right material is being used?
Yes, yes. We also have that 48-hour notice of when they start work. So if we have to slide that inspection because, say, they were going to start on Monday and it rained for 3 days, we can adjust accordingly.
Okay. On the long cuts, such as piping or whatever the case may be, in their contract, the contractor has a contract with that particular utility company if it's not being done by their own employees. Do they give a start and finish date on that particular project?
Yes, the new requirement that's going to go in effect if this is approved is that they shall provide us timelines, and then depending on the length of the project, we have coordination meetings, just as if it was a regular capital improvement project for our own sidewalks or whatever it may be. That way we can stay in touch if they run into snags or problems. You know, we know that line that's, you know, that trench that's disturbed out here for 2 months, you know, what the status is. And so we couldn't really hold them to repair that in 10 days because they're not done with the project. Yeah. And, but I think I talked to Atmos today, one of the foremen, and they've learned a lot through their 15-year replacement program where they're going in and doing a lot of these type of projects. You know, what works, what is received well by the public, you know, what we expect. So they're very willing and accepting of what we're proposing today. They understand.
What happens if that contractor does not finish that particular project by the time frame set?
We
Is
don't,
there liquidated damages?
we don't have liquidated damages because we don't have a contract with that contractor. That's a utility company only. Of course, we're holding, they post bonds, we're holding that money. That's really kind of, we don't really have any kind of, I guess, enforcement, other than if you go back to the penalties, whatever the penalty is for this subchapter, we could fine them. It is a civil violation. So if they don't meet that, and we, of course, that wouldn't be our first action, but if we go to them and say, hey, you have 5 more days, finish up or else, we at least have this enforcement mechanism in place if this is approved, whereas we never had that before. It was call the police and hope they respond to a street cut problem, which was unlikely going to happen. So we're hopeful that these violations and these civil penalties that set forth will give us some kind of mechanism to hold their feet to the fire. And so far, they've been very workable and very cooperative.
Do we have a plan in place to go back and inspect these cuts, say, a year later?
We do have a warranty inspection that is scheduled. I can't say right off the top of my head what that is. There's a section on this. Warranty, here we go. 5-year period from completion of the permanent repair, we schedule that. So let's say 5 years, 6 years from now, Mike or whomever it is runs his report on Monday morning. That inspection, if it's due that week, it'll show up and he will go out and check that, and they'll be held liable for that.
Because a lot of them look good, right after they do the initial repair, but then
Right.
a year later, they don't look so good.
Yeah, we're hopeful, 5 years is kind of a lengthy period. We hope they settle out long before that, but you never know. We're seeing some utility trenches in subdivisions that maybe have been there 10 years, and they're just now really showing their problems.
Questions?
Any questions? Thank you.
Well, I've got one. Part of what I appreciate the way you put this together, you got us a clean copy, and then you have the strike through and the add-on.
Thank you,
Part-
Katie.
That helps us understand what changes were made. On the snow removal on sidewalks, who then is responsible, or is anyone responsible?
Jean, I don't think
We've never cleared sidewalks, is the reason.
Well,
I-
and, we talked about this in our review meetings. Up until the last couple of years, snow usually melted before it was a problem. And the last couple of years, we got one event, and right behind it, we got another event. So I don't know that we have anything in there that says who will. Now, downtown and some of the business district, Public Works came out and started clearing some of that. Hopeful in our climate, we won't have anything that holds them to that. Brent?
Yeah,
Mr.
this was one
Childers.
that Gene and I had put in a couple years ago. This question came up about why doesn't the city clear off sidewalks? And we went to this part of the ordinance and said, no, that's not our responsibility. That's the property owner's responsibility. I said, well, why don't you enforce it? Why don't you make people clear off sidewalks? And we said, well, by the time we would ever get any enforcement action, the snow would be gone. So we wanted to try to clear that up, some of this. So no, we took the position that the city is not responsible for clearing off sidewalks.
Say that last part again.
That the city is not responsible for clearing off sidewalks. And that, and then Public Works added the portion in about, yes, but we also didn't want somebody to take, the examples they were using were a front end loader at a Walmart or a Meijer or a shopping center, and then just piling up these big piles of snow that are gonna sit there for 3 or 4 weeks to
Kinda-
block a sidewalk. So
kinda like
that's
the
where that
brush when
additional
people cut
dumping
their-
came in. Excuse me, sir?
Kind of like the brush when people cut their trees.
Yeah, we have that issue. So we always took the position that it's not the city's responsibility to clean sidewalks, but we're also not enforcing that upon other people. So we just removed that language out to take that up, to try to clean that up. Gene, if you want to add anything else? No, you're going to stay quiet.
No, I don't think so. I think that was pretty much what we've talked about this 2 or 3 times. Especially, last year, every time it snowed, we got that question. And I think we talked about it at that time, and everybody kind of concluded that was, while some cities do that, where they may fine property owners for not, I think it was our position, that was never our intent, to go out and fine people for not taking or removing snow off the sidewalks. So we can just make sure, we just kind of want to clarify it in this ordinance this time.
Trying to make sure we're not obligating the city for another project that we can't afford to do.
And we took the snow and ice out, but we wanted to leave the other obstructions, because if somebody does obstruct the sidewalk, we will go to them and say, hey, you've got to clear the sidewalk out. You've got boxes or something else. We just wanted to take the snow and ice out, and Public Works requested the part about dumping of additional snow and the time that lapses with that.
Thank you. Any other questions? I know you back and went through the other people who were affected by that. I appreciate your asking for and receiving their input. I think we end up with buy-in from the public when you do that. Any other questions? Please call the roll.
Williams,
Yes.
Denning,
Yes.
Perigin,
Yes.
Wilkerson,
Motion to remove Municipal Order 2016-132 from the table for consideration tonight.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Williams, second by Denning. Please call the roll.
Williams,
Yes.
Denning,
Yes.
Perigin,
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Now, Municipal Order 2016.
Municipal order authorizing a subrecipient agreement between the City of Bowling Green and Housing Authority of Bowling Green for Year 13 Community Development Block Grant Program funding in the amount of $40,400.
So moved.
Second.
Denning, second by Perry.
Thank you, Mayor. The commission asked us to take this particular municipal order back, look at the agreement, and try to add some clarity and improvement to the agreement. Brent's here to report out his efforts in that respect. Brent?
Thank you, Mr. DeFebo. I want to talk about the program. There was a lot of discussion last week, or 2 weeks ago, I apologize, about this topic, and try to bring some clarity to it. The grant world is many times people don't get into, other than they just want the money, they want the check, they want to go on. So, there's a lot of things, a lot of nuances in the grant world that people that if you're not familiar with aren't accustomed to. So I want to try to explain a little bit about what this program has tried to do over the last few years and what the city's responsibility to this program has been, or I guess a partnership in this program. Western Kentucky University operates a small business development center, independent of anything that the city does. My understanding that is part of a statewide initiative through the regional universities. That there's one at Eastern, Murray, Moorhead, UK, at all the major regional campuses. And I believe that is funded by the Small Business Administration, SBA, that provides that funding for that service. My understanding of how this program started, it was before my time here at the city. But my understanding was there was a goal of trying to make small business development services more accessible to the low-income population, including minorities and women. And the city began the partnership at that time to provide that service at the Housing Authority, utilizing CDBG funds to pay for the expansion of that service and making it more accessible. And I say that so that you understand that our role in this is funding the expansion and making this service accessible at the Housing Authority, which is located in a low-income area, which is located in a more minority area. Our partnership in this is not to be the Small Business Development Center's funding agent for all of their programs. And I say that because I want you to understand that the Small Business Development Center will be there with or without this. The question tonight is really about this service being more available and accessible at the Housing Authority. So there's a little bit of nuance there that I wanted you to understand. And with that understanding, I think it's important to go back to what we as the city have been investing in is for this to be more accessible. And so we went back to the agreement and we added some additional language, not a lot, but we did add a few things. And I think everybody has a copy of the updated agreement. Sorry for the late revision. So if you go under, I think pretty much everything's on the first page. Activities under A. The 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth line down, and the sentence starts in the middle of there. It says, in order to receive reimbursement, services must be provided at the subrecipient's facilities. In this agreement, the subrecipient is the housing authority. So going back to that, we contracted to make this service available at the housing authority. Therefore, in order to be reimbursed, those services should be at the housing authority. Trying to bring some clarity to how this relationship all works together. If you go down to under activity 1, under program delivery, under sub-activity A, provide training to at least 85 city residents. Some of these things we believe were always intended, but not clear in the agreement. And 2 weeks ago's discussion brought forth some of those things that we felt needed more clarity in this agreement, and that's what I'm presenting back to you today. So we didn't change the number, we just said city residents. Go under B. Provide technical assistance to at least 15 small businesses located in Bowling Green through one-on-one counseling. We added the language in Bowling Green, or located in Bowling Green. Go under sub-activity C, located in Bowling Green. Still further clarifying, because I think that it was always the city's intent for this service to be more accessible at the housing authority and for the services to be received by city residents, city businesses within our community. And then last one, D, located in Bowling Green, is now the end of that sentence. So those, there's one more change, if you'll bear with me, on page 2. Under activity 2, there was some discussion about this last week. Participants do not have to be residents of the Bowling Green Housing Authority, but the subrecipient should recruit participants from the program through the Housing Authority programs, including but not limited to welfare to work, family self-sufficiency, and home ownership, or other programs serving low to moderate income individuals and households. In order to receive reimbursement, participants must be residents of the city of Bowling Green. So we clarified that they don't have to be residents of the Housing Authority, but the residents have to be Bowling Green residents. I'm not sure what the territory of the Small Business Development Center is. I believe it is a regional service. I'm just not sure where their regional boundaries are, whether they follow the ad district or District 3 or the state police. There's about 50 different areas out there. But we wanted to clarify that if the city is going to put this money in, and I think that this has always been our intent and our understanding, that if the city is going to put this money in, that we're going to be benefiting city residents, city businesses, and those services would be at the Housing Authority, because that's what we're really paying for, is the expansion of that to the Housing Authority. Not the Small Business Development Center's expansion throughout the region, but the expansion to make that service available in a low-income area. One other thing that I wanted to bring back, there was a question at 2 weeks ago's meeting concerning monitoring. It had escaped me because I wasn't as involved with it, but Nick reminded me after the meeting, we did receive a monitoring last June on our subrecipient programs from HUD and got an outstanding report and complimentary about our administrative management of our programs through our CDBG program. So with that, I'll conclude my remarks for this time and answer any questions that anyone might have.
Any questions or comments for Mr. Childers? Thank you, sir. I appreciate you taking the time to help clarify what it is we were looking at. I think we were all confused. We were a little confused even last time on the number of businesses that were started. It turns out in that packet, in conversation with Mr. Slaughter, that he was able to identify 4 businesses that developed from this program through the Housing Authority. I think Mr. Dye from the barbershop was here, and Monique Hall was from the hair studio. There were 2 of them, and then Days Affordable Janitorial Service and C&M Contracting were developed at that program. So I appreciate you clarifying that. I had 3 or 4 different numbers and cast around, so thanks for getting that information together. All right.
I very appreciate the clarification of all of it that's got the language in it I was looking for.
I'm going to especially, the reporting piece of all of this, of all the agencies, I just feel like that is critical, that you say, Brent, I think last time we met, that if you can't rescind money even though an agency doesn't meet the criteria set above?
I said we haven't.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I said we
Okay.
haven't, but what we have done is went to the committee the next year, that agency comes up and say, look, you know, they told us they were gonna do 15 things. They only did 7. And then that committee has always went, well, why should we give you enough money for 15? You know, I mean, that's the natural response.
Sure.
Because by the time we get to that, we've already went through the entire year. You know, we don't find all the final numbers. I mean, we're just now getting final year-end reports here in July.
But what I'm reading in this, correct me if I'm wrong, is in this agreement, this subrecipient agreement states that in order to receive these funds, you need to prove that you have trained 85 people at this location, you have assisted 4 small businesses.
And that's going to be over the course of the year.
Okay,
But we process reimbursement, it's also in there, at least at a minimum on a quarterly basis, no more than once a month.
is that amortized based on what has
No,
been
it's
accomplished?
really expense-based. So if, let's say, they had, in giving an,
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
let's say they had, I'll use the Human Rights Commission. April is Fair Housing Month. So that is a big month for them. They have more activities.
Right.
We expect the invoices for the month of April, whenever we get those in May, to be higher. It's not a 1/12 payment. You have to document all your
I
expenses.
see, okay.
And so, you know, as clarifying these, we plan to develop kind of the reporting system to match that. But that's really a staff administrative type process.
Well, I appreciate that clarification, I wasn't sure. Thank you.
Questions? I appreciate, hope the public understands that we try to exercise fiduciary responsibility. Those agencies that receive money from the city, we expect production, and we want them to understand that we look at this very carefully, just as we do our own departments who have metrics that we measure and the outcomes there. So, the discussion, we'll call the roll.
Williams?
Yes.
Denning?
Yes.
Perigin?
Yes.
Wilkerson?
Yes, and that's the last item on our agenda. Our next scheduled meeting is August 2nd, 2016. We go to closed session, but there's no vote to be taken.
vote, Mayor.
All right, thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.